So hello and welcome to this week's angling vlog. This week you join me on the banks of the River Severn and we're going to be in search of barbel and chub. You do join me at Atcham. The car's just the other side of that fence. The first meadow. You can see there's a bivvy up over there and there's one car in the car park. You got a couple of swims here and a field there. The gear's all loaded on the barrow. Nice little barrow with all I need on it. I've got my hold all on my back. So let's make our way and have a look what we can see. So we're in the swim and you can see the beautiful banks of the River Severn. Regulars to the channel will recognise the swim. I do enjoy fishing this swim. It's nice and comfortable for blogging. You can sit back and yeah, loads of space to blog and get all the equipment sorted. We got the bank sticks in. The river looking good. It's got a tinge of colour. Whether that's pollution, I don't know. There is a bit of scum coming down. I've seen a chub jump mid-river, so there's one or two fish about. Just beginning to sort the gear, get the rods out, sort a bit of gear out. I'm going to mix up some ground bait and I'll get back to you. But that is the swim that we're going to be fishing today. When I'm fishing for the barbel, I am a creature of habit. I always get the rods kind of set up and ready. They're not in the water, they're just waiting to be baited. And then I go about the ground bait. Ground bait that I'm using is the supercharged hemp and halley from Hinders. I always put some of the ellipse pellets in the bottom of the bowl and then mix it up. That way you've always got a little bit of feed in your ground bait. And if you want to just feed ground bait and really pull back on the pellet, I know if I feed just ground bait there's a little bit of pellet going in as well. I brought some of the seafood. Just to mix a bit in for smell if the river was coloured, but I'm not going to use that today. There is a tad bit of colour, but I think it's nothing to worry about, so I always carry that just in case I want to create even more smell. And there we go, nicely mixed up. You can see in there a few of the pellets in it. Nice dark smelly ground bait to plug the feeder. Nice and simple, job done. And as always take your litter home with you. It takes a second to put it in your bag and put it in a bin on the way home or in your bin when you get home. The next job is just to get some hemp on that inside line. I'm going to be casting in line with that tree there. I know it's a clear patch, and I'm going to put the hemp in front of me here so it falls down over that line. The swim here is about 4 to 5 foot deep, if that. So it's just going to wash down and hopefully draw some fish up. But I know I've got to put a new rig on these rods, so it's going to be a while before I'm casting in. So I'm just beginning to prime that line. If you think that hemp's falling, it's going to be coating the bottom just over that line there. And I'm not too bothered if I go too far or too close, because you're never really casting the same spot. It's just about getting that line of bait going down. The other rod, I'm thinking of going straight in front of me, because we did have a nightmare last time with a snag in that area there. I'm thinking of a cast right in front of me, I can draw, you know, fish up from the snag. So that's about 9 or 10 catapults of hemp going in the swim now. You see, we haven't got loads of us, so I'm not going to put loads in. Got a lot of the session to go. But one thing you will notice, it's all chilled. You know, there's no rush. This type of fishing for me is really about coming down to the Severn, chilling out and just enjoying relaxed fishing. So I'll put some hemp on that inside line, the ground bait's made, and it's time to talk a little bit about rigs. Now the first thing that's important is to have everything to hand. You can see next to me I've got my ground bait and my bait, my tackle box right next to me, and everything in it, I know where it is and it's all to hand. So looking at conditions today, it's overcast, the river is low but carrying a bit of colour, so the rigs that I'm going to use are going to match that. I've also seen quite a lot of fish topping in the swim, small chub, and I really want to know just how much of them are in the swim. So the rig that I'm going with will catch anything that swims. So looking at the components that we're going to use to make the rig, I've got a size 12 cord and grapple hook, I've got some bands, I've got some 8-pound fluorocarbon, we've got a sleeve obviously to get it onto your line, and we're going to have a loop at the top. So looking at the rig, you can see the pellet is as tight to the hook as possible. That is because I want to catch any species that's in the river. There's big roach here, there's big chub, and there's nice barbel. When I'm choosing a hook, I go with a hook that I trust and is strong. and that is why I always choose the grappler hooks. That is a size 12 hook, and I'm confident, and have done, landed loads of barbel on that. The rig itself is actually just tied on with a simple knotless knot. I do get a lot of questions about people asking how long of a line to use to start with. I always start an arm length apart, so you can see there I've got quite a long hook link, probably about 4 to 5 foot, a simple loop on the end, and you've got your sleeve that's going to attach it to your main line. That is how super simple the tactics can be for barbel. I'm going to start on that, I'm going to get it into the swim, and hopefully, you know, we might catch Mr. Chub to begin with, but it's going to give us a good idea about what species we've attracted. Although I did say it is my lazy type of fishing, do not be fooled. It's not lazy in the effort that you put in. You've got to keep getting off that chair and keep casting. Keep putting that bait in, keep ringing the bell, keeping that line of food going through the swim. Like I say, it is my chilled out fishing, take me time and enjoy it, but it isn't lazy fishing. I think one of the best descriptions of it that I ever heard was fishing a feeder like you're fishing the float. If you think about float fishing this swim, you'd be constantly putting bait through, wouldn't you, to try and attract fish in. I think that's one of the best ways I've heard it described. Another important thing is to always make sure that your drag is set right, because then barbel takes can be violent. So yeah, always make sure your drag's set right. We're keeping on casting, we're doing all the right things, putting bait in, making that statement that we're here. So when we're talking about theories, I always work on the theory that there's no barbel in the swim, and sometimes you land on one, you get a bite straight away, but everything in the river eats that bait you're putting in, the ground bait, you know, the little pellets, you know, dace and roach and chublets will eat that. So we want to attract them fish in, feed them, but I always think Mr. Barbel is the last one to the party, and we've got to feed all the other people before Mr. Barbel will come and have a chew. That's my theory on it, and it does me in good stead. Like you've seen on the channel, there's plenty of videos on the channel. And there we go, not too long after I just set that clip, the left hand rod just bounced round, and that is the one we put the hemp on to begin with. Coming in a bit easy for Mr. Barbel, I think it's Mr. Chub. A nice little chublet to start with, and again an example that you can catch everything that swims. It's just letting me know that the bait I'm putting in's being net. There we go, there's the first fish of the session, a nice chunky chub, and we've been fishing for probably what, 10 minutes. The blank out the way, and again it shows that, you know, fish are coming in, eating the bait. Feels like another chublet. See, there's a fish just topped at the back of the swim. There's plenty of fish in the swim, most definitely. He's only a little one, medium to hand. We're definitely gonna have to come here with some corn on the float. They would have great fun. And I was just talking about Mr. Pike, and after I cast the rod, there's an almighty swirl further down the swim, so he's definitely about. We keep on recording, he probably won't do it this time. Normally get a few fish swirl. There was a big massive swirl at the back, you see. A little pike about, so yeah. I'm starting to get bites on both rods now. Just noticed the far bank rod tapping away. There is a snag or some streamer weed between us and the spot. He's coming through it. He's only a small fish, but if there's Mr. Pike about, he could be in trouble. Especially coming all the way across the river. You can see there the small pellet in its mouth, in fin perfect condition, but I guess they've got to be. Only the fit survive, the rest are pike food. But again, imagine if you got a line of bait going down on corn and a lot of hemp. You could draw a few of these, you'd have a very good net at the end. So Mr. Pike might be a problem with that one, but we'll definitely have to come down and give it a go. So it definitely doesn't help matters having a pike on that line. I do think we'd have had more chub on it, you know, if there wasn't a pike striking against the fish that are on the feed. It says there's a lot of fish in the swim though, and I have had pike in the swim and caught barbels, so I'm sure if the barbel arrive, they'll push them out, and with that the pike will go with them. Mr. Pike's having a feed, so I'm going to have a bit of lunch. If you do enjoy the channel, please leave it a like and subscribe down below. It really does help the channel out, and if you leave a comment, I'll do my best to reply in the week between work. But yeah, for today, see Mr. Heron just moving in for his lunch. There's plenty of fish in the river. Finally got another take on that inside rod, and yeah, it felt like a chub. I'm not sure whether a pike's got hold of it. A good take. Definitely felt like a chubby type bite. And shaking its head. It is a dark chub, look at the colours on that. A proper dark one, and again good quality. And the good news with this, it shows that them bigger fish will feed on that inside line and gives me hope for the barbel. You know, there is a pike down there most definitely, we've seen him, but he's run the gauntlet and managed to get through. That is the positive that I'm taking from these captures of chub, that they will come in and feed even with that pike there. You've always got to be positive. There's no point sitting there thinking you're not going to catch. So I've just been speaking to a gentleman who watches the blog, and he's going to be trying the river for the first time, but while I was speaking to him, managed to land these two lovely roach on that far bank rod. Again, just shows them rigs, fish for everything, and hopefully as we move now into evening, Mr. Barbel will turn up. The pike is still striking in the inside line, I think ruining it, but we'll keep casting and keep hoping. And there's been plenty of smaller fish in the river today, lots of chublet and lots of roach, and if we'd have sat on a boilie, you could argue that we would be blanking now. So yeah, the approach of just getting bites can pay off on days when it's hard. So we're coming up to about 7:30, 7:45 now. There's a little pike down here that's moved in on the action. There was a bigger one, there's now another one with it. So yeah, in hindsight maybe I should have moved the rod over there in line of that bait, but who knows. Sometimes on here I have a pike rolling and I have caught barbel, and I've caught so many barbel on this inside line, reluctant to really give up on it. I've just checked the rotor in work and I am on the rotor. There we go. And we couldn't have taught that up any better. And barbel do appear on lines where pike are striking. It's finally gone off, and it'll probably end up being a pike or Mr. Chub. Hopefully it's Mr. Barbel. So as I was saying, I think on camera, I am due in the office tomorrow. I've just checked the rotor. What that means is I have to get the 7:02 train in the morning to Liverpool. So yeah, I'm reluctant to stay really late tonight because it is an 1.5-hour drive back as well. And we're still on that light 8-pound hook link and that size 12 hook, so you have really got to take your time to try and get the fish in. It's one of them old scenarios where the 8-pound lines help you get the bite, but then when you've got it you kind of want 10 pound. And it looks like he's found a bit of a reed bed there. Just keep the pressure on like that, and he's pulled away from it, and keep him moving, and hopefully with the evening drawing in we can get a fish on the bank. So we give the barbel a good rest in the margin, got him out, and you can see there that tiny little hook that's got the bite. What we'll do is we'll hold him up for camera and we'll take a look at him. So them light rigs that we've been using all day for them roach and them chub just shows 8-pound line, small hooks, little pellets, and we've caught a barbel, what we come for. A long fish in good condition, he's got a little mark on its tail, but we've missed the pike out there. That's probably down to him. So proper made up with that capture, and like always, good rest in the margin. This is a good spot to get your bank stick in, and we'll give him a good rest before we let him go. Well, we got what we come for. I think I might give him a quick weigh before we let him go. He's probably about 7-8 pound maybe. You just see the beautiful colours on the fins, and yeah, give them a good rest. The rods are back out, and hopefully we can pick up one more. You'd always want one more, and when they're ready to go, they most definitely will let you know. And there we go. Thank you very much. Hopefully in the next probably 45 minutes we can get another one on the bank, and if not, we'll be heading off home, and I'll see you at the end of the video. So after letting that barbel go, a gentleman did arrive in the swim who travelled 3 hours up from Devon, so he was doing 2 days on the river, so I'll let him have the swim and headed on back up the motorway home. I really do hope you've enjoyed this week's vlog. All that remains now is to wish you all tight lines in your own fishing. If you have enjoyed the video, please leave a like and subscribe down below, and I'll catch you all next week. Tight lines.